She shot to stardom with Wilson Phillips, but not even fame could keep her from becoming dangerously obese. Then, a miracle.
Please welcome the new Carnie Wilson.
Hear her incredible story.
It started to get hard to walk. My blood pressure was going up. My cholesterol was going up. My body was falling apart. And all of a sudden, I'd wake up and I'd be like...
And witness the life-saving surgical procedure that was shown live on the internet.
You're going to save people's lives. That's why I went public with it.
Carnie Wilson.
Don't go away. That's coming up right now on Montel.
Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. You know, my guest today is best known for her work as a singer and a songwriter, but in the last 2 years, she's become an inspiration to millions of Americans and people all over this world by undergoing a life-changing transformation. I want you to take a look at this. Carnie Wilson has spent most of her life in the spotlight. Daughter of Beach Boy Brian Wilson, Carnie shot to stardom herself with the trio Wilson Phillips. But selling 13 million records was just the beginning. Carnie's popularity landed her a job as host of her own syndicated talk show. But as Carnie gained popularity, she also gained more and more weight, a problem that plagued her since her childhood.
I think I had a really good childhood. You know, I came from a musical family. There was a lot of music playing, and that was one of the consistent positive things. But another thing that was consistent was food. I loved macaroni and cheese and, you know, green beans with the casserole and those French fried onions. And, oh, God. I would go and look for, like, Twinkies and anything with sugar. And I remember sitting on the floor eating cake mix, you know, just the powder. As I got heavier and heavier, and it was hard for me emotionally because I was teased.
It was traumatizing. I mean, they would be like, "Fatso, why are you so fat? Fatty, fatty," you know.
I was with Wilson Phillips, and we did 9 music videos. It was hard because every time we did a video, I was heavier. So every time we did it, it was more of a struggle and more of an issue to cover me up. And it really made me mad. But as I got heavier and heavier, and especially for the second album, that is when the torture came in. I was wearing corsets, and it was like sucking me in, and I had like cuts. You know, and I remember one day specifically in my kitchen trying to get this thing off my waist. I couldn't get it off.
All of a sudden she was around 300 pounds. She's been at that weight for a long time. And one day, about a year ago, I said, "Carnie, you've got to go on a diet." I had tears in my eyes. I said, "Please, for me."
I've tried dieting my whole life. It has not worked. I'm getting heavier, regardless of why I am. I went through a process considering this surgery. In a way, I still am. I mean, I'm gonna do it, and I wanna do it. But I still have fears. You know, it's like God gave you your body and the way it's made, and then I'm going to be altering it. And that is weird, but it works, and it's safe. So this is the next step, and this is the beginning. You know, it's going to open up so many things for me.
If you really want to understand what the embodiment of inspiration is, I'm telling you, this guest is exactly what it is. Please welcome, I'll do it this way, the new Carnie Wilson to the show. And I said it that way, the new. You should have, I looked around and just caught a couple faces, and people are like this.
I know. No, how about that's what I do when I look in the mirror now? I'm like, I can't, is that me? You know. Is
it really what you do? Let's talk about this for a second. This was a tough decision.
Yeah.
That you had to make.
That was tough to watch.
Was it?
Yeah.
Have you reached that point where you look and you don't remember, that person doesn't seem like it's you, or do you know that's still you?
It's weird. It's like, it's still me inside. I'm still the same person. But when I look at that and I see myself, I'm wobbling. I'm thinking they're, you know, I mean, I look at my stomach. Whoo! That flips me out. That you know what that does? It scares me. I mean, my heart beats, and I'm scared for her. I actually went through a process where I grieved my old self. When I lost about 100 pounds, I've lost 154. Thanks. But when I lost 100, I started to like emotionally get really scared. And I talked to my therapist about this. I said, why do I feel sad when I look at photographs of myself at 300 pounds? Why do I feel sad for her? And he said, you're actually letting go of her. You're saying goodbye. It's like you're grieving your old self. And it makes sense, you know?
Absolutely. When you look back, this has been, you know, we touched on a little bit in the tape that we showed to begin with, but this has been a lifelong struggle.
Oh, yeah.
You remember this becoming a problem at what, about age 3, 4?
About 4 and a half. The Beach Boys, my dad, they recorded an album in Holland, and we moved to Holland. And I remember moving there and feeling out of place, you know, and I think at that point I started to eat a little bit more.
And that was also had a lot to do with your dad, in a sense. Your dad was a professional musician, never home, always on the run.
Right.
And in some ways you replaced the feeling of missing him by satisfying yourself a little bit with food.
I think that the household was sort of nutty. There was people running in and out, and it was inconsistent. It wasn't normal, like, you know, blue collar, or, you know, mom and dad go to work, and at 6 they come home, mom makes dinner, we sit at the table and we eat. It was, you know, not like that. So I think for security, I had my mother, Marilyn, my savior and love, and my sister and I had a real tight unit. So I think that was that's where I got my will and my inspiration as a person inside from my mom. So she really was the rock. And so I did have that. But I did find myself just wanting food and sugar and eating. And sugar was a really big deal to me. I mean, I really was always on the hunt.
Looking back at that, there were times when you were 6, 7, and 8 years old.
Yeah.
Where you would have been considered, you know, the big child.
I
the
was.
bigger child.
Yes.
You were a bigger child then. Your mom took you to see endocrinologist, right? They asked if you had a thyroid problem.
Everything was normal.
In high school, about you know, your weight was going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
You were doing the, you know, the 15, 16, 17 years old, you started dating a little bit, right?
Right. Tried every diet in the world.
Every diet.
Always dated, always had boyfriends.
So that would be something that I would say that a lot of other women in your position didn't experience.
Yes.
Now, how did you pull that off?
Well, you know, it's...
Girls gotta have it, that's all right. No.
I don't know, I'm horny, I can't help it.
Okay, fine. Here we go, we got volunteers.
My husband's back there.
That's right, my husband's backstage.
No,
Chill
I don't want to talk about being horny and a teenager, because we won't get into that territory, but, you know, I mean, I was a good girl, but I always have been healthy in that way. But I think that I always have just had confidence.
Go ahead. I've always been healthy that way, but I've always had confidence. Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
So, right there.
I'm sorry. I've just always had this little voice in me saying, you're a good person, and you can do whatever you want to do, and it doesn't matter if you're 250, 300, or you're 150. You are who you are. Be good to other people, and just follow your heart and what you want to do.
Well, I'm going to take a break. When we come back from the break, let's talk about the choices that you had to make, because there comes a point sometimes in people's life, especially, we'll use the term morbid obesity.
Yeah.
When you cross the line from being just heavy,
right,
to the point that your weight starts to affect your life and can kill you.
Yes.
And you were reaching that point.
Yes, I was.
All right, let me take a little break and come back. Let's talk about that. And let's talk about how you wound up looking like this. Fun and all that stuff. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Unless you've struggled with the problem of obesity yourself, there's no way to explain the torture of the pain, frustration, obsession, isolation, and embarrassment that haunts you every day of your life.
Welcome, Carnie, to the show. Welcome, Carnie. And I would say last one, that's my brother. I really want to talk about this. It's kind of like you decided to go through surgery to help lose weight.
Right.
And this was life-changing decision for you, correct?
Yes.
Let's talk about this. You had to do a lot of studying.
Yeah.
You had to read up on this.
Research.
You mentioned during the break, but I want you to talk about how did this happen? One day you were walking and you really started to notice?
Well, it started to get, I've always exercised. I've always been, you know, quote, healthy, working out 3 days a week with a trainer. And when I hit about 285 pounds, it started to get hard to walk. And I started noticing little things with my health. My blood pressure was going up. My cholesterol was going up. My triglycerides were high. My feet were just killing me. I was massaging them. I called my doctor. Why is my back? It was all these things. My body was falling apart. And the scariest thing was I was waking up at night. I was always a good sleeper, 8 hours solid through the night. And all of a sudden I'd wake up, I'd be like, like that, like 10 times a night. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? I didn't know that I was developing sleep apnea.
Which is pressure on your lungs and
Yes.
your throat.
The fat literally is your trachea, it's a nightmare, and it's deadly. I mean, you know, and then I'm wondering, why am I tired every day? I'm not sleeping through the night because I'm choking in my sleep. So I looked in the mirror and I said, you're going to die young.
Unless something happens.
Yes.
But then somebody else looking at you and watching
Yes.
your longtime friend and your manager, Mickey Shapiro. Please welcome him to the show.
Mickey.
Mickey, you stopped. You had been Carnie's manager for, at this point in time, how long?
8, 9 years.
8, 9 years. And
Right.
you watched Carnie kind of bounce back and forth, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Right, and it was becoming apparent that this was not an issue of aesthetics at this point. There was an issue of health involved. And about that time in my career, I was thinking about a business venture with Dr. Jonathan Sakier. Started a company together called Spotlight Health. And in the course of that, we were going to do a story about obesity. We hired Carnie to actually be the hostess of that show, not specifically for her to have a surgery. And in the course of doing the research on this show, Jonathan said, you know, there's this thing called laparoscopic bypass surgery. Would you talk to Carnie about it? And it's a delicate issue, obviously, to bring to a client's attention, because it, you know, there seems to be a institutional prejudice against people that are heavy, and it was a very delicate issue. But since her health was in play, I said, Carnie, there's a guy down in San Diego, the surgeon. I'm going to go meet this guy. And I flew down to San Diego and I met this gentleman. And Carnie said, bring him up. And the doctor came on the set where she was doing her job, and they sat and talked for 10 minutes, and she looked at me after 10 minutes. She says, that guy's going to save my life. I'm going to do the surgery.
Okay.
Just like that.
You agreed to go ahead and have the surgery live on the internet.
Yes, I did.
And blow the pictures out there for everybody to see.
2.5 million people tried to log on and see it.
And shut the site down.
Yeah, they did. It was way jammed, and you know, I mean, there have been thousands of people. I mean, 50,000 people had the surgery last year. More and more are every year. And I just want to say that this is not a cure for obesity. Obesity is a disease, and there is actually an obesity gene, and people are predisposed to gaining weight. But it is, I mean, we could talk for a whole hour on the surgery itself.
Sure.
This is not a cure. Last month I went on a cruise. I had some martinis. I was snacking. I'm in the middle of a moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't exercising. I put on 5 pounds. Scared me to death. I saw that scale going to the right instead of to the left, and I went, uh-oh, you know, get it together now. And I've actually been maintaining for 6 months now for the first time ever in my life.
Excellent. And I do want to say this, because I'm probably going to get a lot of calls from people across the country, doctors across the country, say, I can't believe you did that show. You're telling people they have to go do this. That is not what we are saying.
No.
But what we are saying is that there comes a point in people's lives, and I am one of the biggest proponents of this in this country. I agree with doctors. I believe in doctors, but you are not me. And you don't own my life. I am the one responsible for my future and my health. I get to make the decision.
Yes, that's right.
That's that kind of decision.
Absolutely.
And if I think the decision is to follow Carnie and what she did, because I've exhausted every other possible plan.
Well, doctors are saying that this is the most successful procedure. Diets don't work. And they have noticed that people that have the surgery that are morbidly obese, this works the best. And I am an advocate for it. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. It's a commitment. Your lifestyle has to change. You have to promise yourself that you're not going to overeat. You don't screw around with it. It's very serious.
And most doctors make you sign a contract after you have the surgery, ensuring that you will come back and continue all the post-operative things. You
must
have to see a
follow
doctor
up.
for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Vitamins, water, follow-ups, blood work. It's very important, but it can be life-saving.
The first 3 months after your surgery, how much weight did you lose?
I probably lost about 60 pounds. I lost 100 after 6 months, 130 at 9 months, and lost 154. And I went on the scale this morning. I weighed 146. I haven't weighed that little since I was in the eighth grade. I'm 33, so that's pretty cool.
Think about all those boyfriends in the 8th grade that are missing out now. We'll be back right after this. You know, I gotta go back again. I keep going forward and going back. Let's go back one more time. Let's go back.
There's so much.
At age 19.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your sister and this other girl say, you know, we gotta form a group. How did Wilson Phillips even begin?
We just started harmonizing on the floor.
Because you knew each other and you grew up together.
Yes, lifelong friends. Noticed a great blend and got into the business and had some great luck. Worked hard, sold a lot of records. It was a whirlwind.
Sold 11 million copies of records. Huge.
Yeah.
It must have been a tremendous, like just all-time high, all the time, just cruising, right?
It was unbelievable. What a ride. What a ride.
All that's going on up here.
Yeah, right.
And what's going on inside of here?
Huh. Fear, pressure, slowly gaining more and more weight. Wendy and China, we were like robots, you know, just like little guinea pigs for a new record company. They did a great job promoting it, but wow, we worked hard, and I just was eating a lot of in-between meals, late at night, cheesecake. I love cheesecake. And, you know, I just eat a lot of cheesecake, and I just gained more and more weight. So. And
Wendy and China were losing weight.
They were losing weight.
From the exhaustion of being on the road.
Hospitalized, they lost, I gained, and by the second album, I was about 245 pounds. And then for the talk show, I was like 250, 255, and then I got up to 298 was my highest.
And you said enough then.
Yeah.
But now, but during that period of time while you were touring, you commented on the tape, and it's something that I think a lot of people don't understand how nasty this industry, our industry, can be.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were on stage, they tried to get you to move behind the bass player.
Yeah.
Or step over here to
always
the side.
hidden, always hidden. Don't move. In the videos, you know, videos were really difficult because even though when I would see the result, I'd say, oh, I look really pretty. But I would say, I look pretty because I'm hidden. I had a light stand in. I couldn't move. If I moved, God forbid, you'd see my chin, you know. And I got really mad.
But this wasn't your choice. This was the record company and the people shooting the video. They decided they were not going to show this fat lady.
No, they wanted to hide it as much as they could. Wendy and China were always so supportive, and we always knew that everybody had their own thing. I was the bubbly one, you know, who did all the interviews, and China was the, you know, the beauty, and Wendy was the shy, mysterious, pretty one. So it's like we all had our own role. So even though I was comfortable with that, I still felt very self-conscious being up on stage, you know, noticing the men looking at China and Wendy, and then, you know, everyone going, yay, Carnie, you know, you got a pretty face, or you know, good job, you're funny, you know. And I wanted to say, well, goddamn, don't you like my boobs or my butt? You know, it's like, that was hard. That was hard for me. That was hard, but that's the thing with me is that that's why it's so strange, is that it's hard for me to express to people, because even though I felt bad about my physical health and what society puts, the pressure they put on us is so terrible, I was feeling like a good person inside. So there was such a contradiction. Now, during that ride also, some of your other, let's call them addictions, kind of came out? Yeah. Shopping? Oh, I blew through every penny. There's a lot. There's a lot I can't say on the show that I will, you know, in a book that I'm writing. Because I'm the kind of person that needs to release. I do not hold things back. I was a pothead. I was smoking pot every day. I had the munchies. I just, you know, I was depressed. I just loved that bong. I wanted to get high. You know, I mean, I'm very honest. You know, I'm not ashamed. You know, we all have our addictions or whatever, our vices. Absolutely. And life has changed since then. You know, I've done a lot of growing up, a lot of soul searching. Having done all that, now recycle, coming all the way back around. Appreciation, gratitude. I write gratitude lists. I'm grateful. I pinch myself. You know, I have my health, my husband, my family, my friends, it's much different now. I'm 33 versus 20. The mentality, you know how much we changed.
Absolutely. Well, that's something I want to talk about. I want to talk about the husband, because it's really funny. A lot of people would think that when I mention the fact you're married, she says, oh, yeah, I think she must have met that guy after she lost the weight. Tell them the truth. At your heaviest.
At my heaviest.
You met him at your heaviest?
Yes.
And fell in love at your heaviest?
Oh, yeah.
And he would have married you, period.
I just get, like, calm thinking about him.
There you go. Well, let's get him out here.
Oh.
We'll take a break. We'll meet him when we come back. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. Well, now, tell us a little bit about this man, Rob. How did you meet him?
Rob is from Philadelphia, and his... Oh, my God!
Philly in the house!
His best friend, Ken Sharp, is a journalist who was interviewing Al Jardine, the Beach Boy I was singing with. And I was backstage, and up walked Ken and Rob, and I thought that Rob was Ken's assistant. He said, oh, Ken says, I've talked to you on the internet before. Thanks for answering my email, and bless you. Bless you. And he said, this is my friend Rob. And Rob had this smile, and he said, it's really great to meet you, and I used to watch your talk show, and I really enjoyed watching you. And I went, oh, thank you.
Really?
And then I looked at those teeth, and then I saw him on stage smiling, and I have pictures of him like this watching me on stage. You know, and
you
it's
think,
like,
wait, he's not looking at China, he's not looking at Wendy.
no, he was
me.
like, and I kept, I'm like, but Wendy's over there, but he's looking at me, you know? And then we started talking over the phone. He was in Philly, I was in LA. It was a long distance thing for a while, but we fell in love, and
then, wait, it's good. No,
and he accepted me
at 300 pounds.
Yeah, he did.
So, you know, I told you, he said he can't talk about this because, you know, his mom's watching, but you can talk about this now.
What, sex?
Yeah, I want to go there again. Because just one more time. Can we go there one more time?
It was always good, but it's better now.
All right, that's all I want to say. In the old talk show mode, head and all that stuff, go ahead, introduce your husband the way you used to introduce other guests on the show. Go ahead.
Oh, put me on the spot.
I'll put you on the spot.
I can't do it like you.
Go ahead, do it the Carnie way.
Oh, okay, how's this? Please welcome my baby doll.
That's an introduction.
This is
to
Rob.
How are you? Rob. We welcome Rob again to the show. You know, this is one of those things, and I wanted to ask you this, because you meet somebody, and when you fall in love with a person, it doesn't matter whether or not they're 400 pounds, 500 pounds, 20 pounds. Mm-hmm. You fall in love with that person. You fell in love with a package.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the package that came to you said, by the way, I'm changing. It's going to change. So what you like today, you're not going to see in 6 months.
Right.
And how did...
It was, well, when we met, it was more of a spiritual connection from the get-go. And at the very genesis of our relationship, if I can use that word,
Yes, you can.
we hit it off, like, we had the same sense of humor, we had the same likes and dislikes, the same tastes in music and whatever. And our relationship was such that we weren't really able to, in the beginning, see each other physically.
Yeah.
It was more, we would write on the internet, we would talk on the telephone. And it's a great way to get to know a person, you know, sans the physicality of it all. Mm-hmm. And we're just out of our 20s, so, you know, the 20s was the time to let loose and be fun and have, you know, craziness. And you want to settle down eventually.
Yeah.
And when we found each other, we had been through our share of relationships. And we knew right away that
this
she
is
and I
more
was...
than just
Yeah,
the one
oh,
night
absolutely.
stand.
But
Yes.
I said to him, you know, I'm thinking about having the surgery, and you asked me if it was safe.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty radical at first. I think that's everybody's first reaction.
Yeah.
It's, what are you doing? You're cutting yourself open and you're, you know, messing with your insides. But as Carnie explained more and more about, you know, the benefits of the operation and, you know, what would happen if I didn't have this operation, you know, what are the health risks then? Also, it's going to take pounds off her and it's going to make her more active and happy as a person, and I'm all in favor of that.
I actually did not want him to be there.
Okay.
I felt like I didn't want him to see me like that. We were going out for about 2 months at that point.
No, the first time you saw her, though,
Yeah.
after you hadn't seen each other for a while,
Right.
you saw her the first time, she's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Then you see her after surgery, what did you weigh then? Maybe 250 or something?
Probably.
About 250,
Yeah.
240?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and you got
Shrinking.
once a month. It was like the Incredible Shrinking
The Incredible
Woman,
Shrinking
correct?
Woman,
Yeah.
yes. That's how I used to describe.
You have pictures of your first date, though, correct? So when you look at the pictures of the first date and you look at the pictures from the wedding day,
It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
we have wedding photos, don't we? Were we running them? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. That was a really, really special day.
Now again, here you are. Here you. What? How much do you weigh here? Do you think?
I weighed about 165.
And I hate carping on weight, okay? But it's
Yeah.
almost like, again, every time you see you, you're a different person.
I know. It's just, it is miraculous. I still can't believe it. And I wanted to say that there's nothing like support. And I think it's important to talk about this. People are so afraid to talk about, they're embarrassed to talk about that they're obese. They're embarrassed to say that they're on a diet or they did surgery. They need moral support. Rob has been my moral support. Emotionally, it's been a roller coaster. One day I feel fabulous and sexy. The next day I feel like a piece of poop. It is really intense, and you know, thank you, honey, for just understanding my emotional ups and downs. You know.
Let me take a break. When we come back, and I don't want to spend a whole hour on this, but let's talk a little bit more about your surgery and about the aftermath and about some follow-up things that you have to do. Let me take a break. We'll be back right after this. Carnie, before we go on and we talk a little bit about the surgery itself,
Right.
and we talk to the doctors involved in this, let's talk about what life was like for you as a person at 280, 300 pounds. If you got on an airplane.
Forget it. Walking was a challenge. Bending over, God, I was short of breath walking down a block. When Rob and I met, I remember we went to eat our first meal, and it was around the corner from the hotel. It was 1 block away, and we walked to that place, and I only had like 2 pairs of shoes that wouldn't kill me. And I remember walking and turning my head to the side because my nostrils were flaring. I was trying to catch my breath. I didn't want him to see that I was huffing and puffing from walking 1 block. Right. And forget seatbelts. I couldn't even fit in seatbelts. I was kicked off a ride at an amusement park. I couldn't close the thing. Couldn't close it. Just feeling very out of place.
And then now you have the surgery, but there are things that you will have to do now for the rest of your life.
Forever. Like drink a lot of water, take vitamins, have follow-ups. I can't eat like big portions of sugar. Like if we go, like last night we went to dinner. I had steak, I had a few bites of potatoes, I had some asparagus, 1 or 2 little fried calamaris, and we ordered creme brulee, the dessert. I had 3 little spoonfuls of creme brulee. But if I had a piece of cake, even like this, for about, after 10 minutes, for about 20 minutes, it's called dumping. I will experience a tremendous production of insulin, which will make me feel nauseous, sleepy, tired, irritable. My heart will race. And for 20 minutes, that'll happen. And all of a sudden, it's gone. But I don't want to feel that feeling. And it is the result of the surgery. I was aware of it going into it. It's a possible side effect. I want it to happen because I don't want to eat those foods anymore.
Right.
I'm the cleanest eater now. I eat so healthy, and I love it. Yeah. And I love it.
Right.
You know, I can have a bite.
Sure.
I can taste anything I want. I just don't have the desire to be such a glutton anymore. And that's the relief.
Excellent, excellent. Well, please welcome Dr. Sean Garber to the show. And I said that you were the doctor that performed the surgery, but you have studied with the doctor that performed the surgery. So why don't you tell us what this surgery is? There's a lot of people at home right now wondering, what are you talking about? Okay, what is it?
Laparoscopic gastric bypass surgery is a surgery where we put 6 very tiny incisions in the patient's abdomen, in the belly, and we put a camera inside the belly, and we do the operation actually on a TV screen. What we do is the first part of the operation, we divide the stomach to make a small stomach pouch about the size of 1 ounce, about the size of an egg.
About the size of an egg?
Mine was the size of the thumb.
The whole stomach becomes this size?
Correct.
Okay.
Then we divide the small intestines lower down. We hook up a piece of small intestine to this new stomach pouch.
Okay.
We then hook in the other part of the stomach, stays in the body, still produces digestive enzymes, comes down and hooks back in lower down in the intestines. And
So wait, what do you do with the part of the intestine that you bypass? Do you take it out or you leave it in?
No, everything stays in the belly. We just bypass a certain segment of it. And the operation works for 3 reasons. First is we have a very small stomach pouch, for the patient feels very full very quickly, and they can't eat too much. As Carnie said, she eats a few bites and she feels full.
At first.
At first.
Right.
Over time, the pouch stretches out and gets a little larger.
Right.
The second reason the operation works is if you eat sweets, you get dumping syndrome, which Carnie explained as well. And that's a bonus, and then we like that idea, and that helps people avoid eating sweets after surgery, because that's a big problem with people who are obese.
That dumping syndrome is from your body creating extra insulin.
It's from the food passing very quickly through that bypass piece of intestine.
Right.
Okay.
And they get the crampy abdominal pain and flushed, and they feel very, very uncomfortable. And most patients are going to avoid eating sweets afterwards, which is a great bonus for the surgery, because most people, that's their big problem before the surgery.
Okay.
The third reason it works is we're bypassing a couple of feet of small intestines. So therefore, those couple of feet of small intestines, you don't absorb the calories from the food. There's some malabsorption, and that helps the patients lose weight as well.
And I want to say that this is a malabsorptive surgery, so I'm not absorbing as much fat, but I'm also not absorbing as many nutrients and vitamins, and that's why I need to supplement.
Correct.
And take the supplements. So now, over time, will this, I mean, if that stomach keeps stretching, is there a problem? I want to talk about whatever the difficulties could be, in case somebody's tuning in and we've only talked about the positive side.
Sure. But the bottom line is the operation is not a cure for obesity. This is the best aid available to help stop obesity. And there are failures to these surgeries. There's about a 10 to 20% failure rate. And those are patients that don't follow up closely, don't follow up with support groups, don't take their vitamins, don't see the doctors on a regular basis, and they get into bad habits. And you can eventually stretch the pouch out too big and make the operation fail. So it's very, very important that the patients follow very closely afterwards for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
Like Carnie said, all the patients sign a contract with me, and they're going to follow up with me for the rest of their life after surgery.
And that's something, though, that I think, again, not only have you come forward, you've shared this with everybody, but you continue to share this.
Yes.
Carnie is part of support groups. Sure. You actually meet with, chat with, and talk with people.
Yes, I do. Every day. Every day there's someone I'm talking with and sharing our experiences with. It's very important to be vocal about this. We shouldn't be ashamed that we are obese or have a disease. We should not be ashamed. It's the last accepted prejudice in this country, and it sucks. And it shouldn't be that way. People shouldn't be treated differently, but we need to take care of our health. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and get this surgery if you're 100 pounds overweight. I'm saying do something about your health. If you can't do it, if you tried everything, this is a great alternative.
And doctor, that's also a requirement that most surgeons have before they even will allow a person to undergo this, correct? They have had to have exhausted all other...
Exactly. The patients have to be at least 100 pounds overweight to be a candidate, and they have to have tried just about every diet out there, have tried doctor-supervised diets, have just exhausted every other means, and now it's starting to affect their health, and then that's when surgery is a great option for patients.
Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. Well, I will tell you, one of the other wonderful things that Carnie is doing is an opportunity that kind of came my way, and that was to hook up with an organization that's called Spotlight Health. And what they do is they try their best to make sure they get as much information about illnesses out there to you, the public, and they use a lot of people like us to do so, and one of its founders is here. Please welcome Dr. Jonathan Sakir to the show. Thank you, Jonathan. And I have to say, publicly, well, I think we both can say this, thank you to you for providing a service that you do to all the people in the world that you do.
Well, thank you, Montel. I practiced as a physician before getting involved in helping to start Spotlight, and really the goal was not just provide information, but provide support, provide the means for people to move from point A, where they're unwell, to point B, where, please God, they can be better. And hooking up with Carnie was magnificent. If you had helped one person, Carnie, through Spotlight Health and the support group, that would be great. But you... Montel, she has helped tens of thousands of people. Some of them are here. I was at a restaurant with Carnie the other week. People were coming up to her, thank you, and working with you on the multiple sclerosis thing. You know, people like you who are sharing your celebrity, your visibility, and your very personal battles with Spotlight Health and the media, we can really help make people's lives better. Thank you. Thank you.
That's what it's all about. The websites that you put together, you can go on the Spotlight Health website. We have it up on the screens. People can look at it, and they can actually tap into a chat that you have done.
That's right.
Correct? With more information about surgery?
They chat with Carnie, and we always have a physician there to answer medical questions. The great thing is the people start talking to each other. There's some here. There's people here from Carnie's support group.
Wait, where's Paula at? Paula, yeah, you wanted to say something to Carnie, did you not?
I just wanted to say thank you so much. If you hadn't brought this to the national stage, many people wouldn't have known that there was an alternative such as this.
Can we just talk for a second about yourself? You had surgery in March of 2000? Is that correct? And you have already lost 123 pounds? You go, girl.
Oh, she's doing great. I saw those pictures. I almost died. Oh, God.
Where's Melinda at? Melinda.
Hi.
There you go, Melinda. You wanted to say something to Carnie, too, did you not?
Yeah, I also wanted to tell her thank you. I'm part of the support group, and just, I will ask any questions, and people get back to me so fast.
Good.
And it helps so much. It does. It really does. They answer me faster than my doctor would have.
That's wonderful. You have no idea how much it means to me, that it means a lot to you, and that's why I've gone public, because I'm not ashamed. I'm proud, and I'm proud to say that I've struggled too, and I just want people to feel better, and it's great.
You had the surgery in February.
I had the surgery in February.
You've
I've lost over 62 pounds.
Oh, it's great. God. That's a lot of weight.
That's right. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You recently just got back together with the girls for a tribute, correct?
Yes, yes.
For your father.
That's right. My dad was honored at a Radio City Music Hall. And Elton John, Billy Joel, Paul Simon. It was an incredible night, all singing his songs.
Really?
It was spectacular. And Wilson Phillips reunited for the first time in 8 years.
We have a clip. Take a look at this. Touch, but the group is coming back together.
That's right.
Album will be out when?
Hopefully in the next 10 years. No, I'm kidding. No. Honestly, we are writing, so I can't really say. Probably 2001, you know, sometime, or no, 2002. We're in 2001, aren't we?
Yes.
Hello. Anyway, I only had 5 hours of sleep. Okay. Yeah, so album probably next year, and book this year. I want to plug that because it's very important to me. I also wanted to say a special thanks to Mickey Shapiro, my manager, because if it weren't for Mickey, I wouldn't have done this surgery. I want to thank my mom and my surgeon, Dr. Whitgrove, and Leslie, the main nurse, who helped me through this.
Please do.
Really important to thank them.
If there were one thing that you could do, that you really wanted to do now, that you lost the weight. I mean, serious. You know, a lot of people say this. So you were 300 pounds, and now you are 146. There was that one thing you wanted to do. Now that you're no longer 300 and you're 146, what would that one thing be?
I can't say that on TV.
Oh, is someone here? Is someone here? Is it someplace special? Is it someplace special that you wanted to do that? No.
It's everything. It's just being grateful that I can feel light on my feet and walk and have my health back. That's it. I mean, you know, that's what it is.
All right, let me take a little break, and we'll be back right after this. Well, we're out of time, and I wish we were not. But special thanks go out to Entertainment Tonight and TNT for providing us with some of the footage that we've had. And honestly, a very, very special thank you to you, Carnie. I really...
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean that. I mean that.
And to you, too.
Thank you. Rob, take care of this lady. I mean, I know you will, but the work you do not only for the people who come up on the website, but just the fact that you are there. You're out there as a positive force in this society where we don't have too many people that are that positive. We need more people like you.
And you, too.
Thank you. Out of time. Doctor, thank you, Mickey, for being here. The album's coming out. The book's coming out. She's going to be here to promote the book right here on the Montel Williams Show. First, no, I'm back. Well, maybe. We'll see if we get her back here.
All right.
Make sure you go out and buy a copy. Join us on the next Montel.
An all-star tribute to Brian Wilson airs July 4th on TNT.